Okay, this is Jimmy Jive, and you're listening to Motor City Rock Talk. Today, my guest is an extraordinarily talented guitarist that played here in the mid-'80s in a band called Vendetta. He his band was signed to Epic Records. They went to New York City, did a video for MTV for a song called Babylon Rocks. Eventually, the gentleman moved over to Amsterdam, Netherlands. My guest today is Niki Buzz. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing fine, sir. Let's start out with a little background. Tell me originally where you were from as far as the, Detroit metropolitan area.
Well, actually, I was living off of the Southfield Freeway on Rutherford Street. We had a band house there.
Okay.
But of course, I'm not from Detroit. I'm originally born in Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, okay. Did your family move here later or something?
No, not at all. Oh, you're going to love this. I was living in New York City, and I had started Vendetta. Then it was called The Bullet. And we were actually signed by John Travolta's label.
Wow, I didn't know he had a label.
Yeah, John Travolta had a label, and he had one act on it, and it was an act called Silver Convention, and they had a disco song called Fly, Robin, Fly.
Yeah, I remember that song. Okay.
Remember that song? Well,
yeah.
They were on John Travolta's label.
Okay.
And John Travolta's label really liked the Bullets, so they signed us, put us in the studio. Now Rogers Studio, actually. We did the album. They loved the album. They flew me out to LA, and I went out to LA to talk to them what we're going to do next, and they shelved it.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, they said they never intended to put it out. They just wanted a tax write-off.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, right? But they let us keep the masters.
Okay.
They gave us the masters, and they didn't charge us anything, and you do what you want. And with those, we start shopping around. We got some interest. But New York is not really a rock and roll town.
No, I know.
Never has been. So I moved the band out to California, and we went out there, and we couldn't get arrested, even if we spit on a cop. So I said, you know what? Let's see the most happening rock and roll town in America. And it happened to be Detroit. So I loaded up the guys, 9 guys and a girl in a van.
Wow.
Because 3 people in Vendetta, but we had a 6-man road crew that followed us from New York. Because Cliff, the bass player, his stepfather invented neon. So his stepfather was filthy rich, and Cliff lived in the Hamptons.
Wow.
So all these rich kids from the Hamptons followed Vendetta around. They went everywhere with us. And, the adventures of Vendetta, basically. So we ended up in Detroit, and then there was a guy called Mark DeMaso, and he had pretty much the biggest booking agency in Detroit. He was booking a band called Strut, the Almighty Strut. Right, you remember those guys?
Oh, yeah.
And so I said to Mark DeMaso, I said, I'll tell you what, if you can keep us working at least 6 days a week, we can make a deal. He says, okay, I can keep you working 6 days a week, but we can only pay you $50 per night. And that was for the whole band.
That's rough. That's rough to live on that.
Well, do the math. That's $350 a week.
Right.
Rent was $400 a month. So we could make our rent in 1 week. So we lived in a whole, all 9 of us lived in a motel room.
Oh, geez.
And then we saved up for the first month. And then that's when we got the house on Rutherford Street, which became the band house. And all the kids in the neighborhood just basically lived in our house. We rose pretty quickly. We teamed up with Strut, and we opened for Strut everywhere, for the first month, at September's and Papillons and Blondies and the main act and Harpo's and you name it. We did it. And after we did that for a month, we headlined. Vendetta started headlining everywhere. Yeah, we quickly rose from 50 a night to, normal. And then
what was normal in those days?
Normal in those days was around 500 a night for the band.
What years are we talking about here? Because first of all, I'm kind of confused. When you said you went to California, you were still at Bullets. When did you change the name to Vendetta?
When we came to Detroit,
right,
we actually changed the name to Vendetta. We're talking about between 80 and 82.
Oh, okay. All right.
The Vendetta album came out in 82.
Right.
Silly thing about it, the same record companies that ignored us in LA and New York started flying to Detroit to hear this incredible band that they were hearing about, which was us.
Right.
And we actually got signed out of Detroit by Epic Records, and we had been in their office trying to talk to them, and they just showed us the door.
Right.
Same band, same situation, right? We actually literally got signed out of Windsor, Canada, really. They came and saw a show that we did in Windsor. There used to be a bar there that was a half-strip bar, rock and roll bar, and we played there. And Frankie Rand, who was president of Epic at that point, flew out to see us and offered us a contract there.
Wow.
So that, yeah.
What kind of contract was it? Was it just a one-record deal, or?
It was a 2-record deal, and to be honest about it, we had the largest budget of a rock band at that time. We got $250,000. We had a $250,000 budget, and I was the first black rock guitar player to get a major record deal since Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, that's right. That'd be right.
Right, and I was also the first black rock guitar player to be played on MTV, other than Jimi Hendrix. As a matter of fact, Vendetta was on MTV before Michael Jackson.
And Prince and all that?
And Prince and all that.
Wow.
I was on there before any of those guys. Yeah.
That's cool.
It was, what was his name? Chuck Jackson was his name. He was the DJ that started playing Vendetta, 1982. And we had $250,000 budget. But in 1982, that's when Black Tuesday came. We had all the video games that came out, the video arcades, and the record industry went to hell. And in 1 week, we were dropped by Epic. So was Cheap Trick. So was Molly Hatchet. And so was Heart. Yeah, man.
That's amazing.
We all got dropped. So we were dropped in good company.
And it was all because of the video game system? The video game?
Yeah, man. The kids were putting their quarters in the video arcades. They weren't buying records. The record sales dropped tremendously. They actually thought it was going to be the end of the record industry as we know it, but it bounced back.
Right.
But they expect it to be like it is now. I mean, I remember platinum was 100,000, a million copies, and gold was 100,000.
Right.
Now, if you sell 10 CDs, you're gold.
Yeah, because everything's streaming pretty much now anyway.
Everything is streaming, and nobody's buying anything. It is all for free.
Yeah. Now, was the original Vendetta album that was all the masters from the Bullet sessions, and correct? That wasn't something you went back in and re-recorded?
No. The Bullets is a completely different album.
Oh, wow. Did that ever get released in any way, form, or fashion?
No, it did not. But it got us the attention. They said, oh, you sound like this. Because I wrote all the material for Vendetta. So I I just wrote all new stuff. And that became Vendetta.
Do you have any idea what happened to those original, masters for the Bullets?
My manager at that time, Victor Shimoji, had them. I think he may be dead now, or at least he has Alzheimer's, for sure. I think the bass player actually has a 1/4-inch reel of the original Bullets album, the 1/4-inch master, not the 2-inch, but the 1/4-inch master.
Sure.
I think he may have that. He collected everything that we did. He's that kind of guy. Me, I don't even own any of my own albums. My wife had to buy me my own albums for Christmas 2 years ago because I didn't have any copies.
Now, was that Vendetta album out then at that time? Was that out on vinyl? Was that the way it was?
Oh yeah, out on vinyl and cassette. 1982 we're talking.
You can't find them anywhere in any form or fashion. Did your wife actually able to find those for you?
Yes, she actually got me the vinyl.
What over in Europe somewhere? Or eBay?
No, in the States. On eBay, yeah.
Wow. Maybe I'll have to search.
Yeah, she actually found me the vinyl. And unfortunately, there are record companies that are making CDs of Vendetta, and we're not getting the royalties for them. You can order Vendetta CD, and it delivers to your house with the pictures, everything. But yeah, I contact them, and they either don't contact me back, or it's a very fishy thing.
Was there an issue with publishing? Did you not have it published
Oh,
properly?
my publishing is there, but this is just CD sales. This don't have anything to do with publishing. You know what I mean? And if they were playing on the radio, I mean, a good thing is happening. There's a new horror film coming out called Rothschild,
right?
Like the Wrath of whatever.
Yeah.
And they're using 4 Vendetta songs in the movie.
Really? Get anything for that?
That's going to work out fine.
Oh, well, that's
Babylon
great.
Rocks and Nighttime and a couple other songs they're using.
That is very cool. Now, the video for Babylon Rock, was that the only video you made then for Vendetta that was on MTV?
And this is a funny story, you're gonna love this. The pyrotechnist guy, his name was Willie Boom Boom Caban. And in the last shot, the drums explode. This guy put 4 sticks of dynamite under the drum.
Kidding me?
And no, I'm not kidding.
Oh my God. Where was it filmed that he could do that?
some naval yard in Brooklyn.
Oh, jeez.
And he told Terry, okay, on the last hit, jump off the drums because they're going to explode. And we said, okay. And Terry basically forgot to jump. And he was literally blown off.
You couldn't get away with doing something like that nowadays. Oh my God, the liability problems with that would be through the roof.
Well, you remember Blondie.
My producer, he saw you there. You had mentioned playing with Strut. He mentioned seeing you play with the band Seduce. Do you remember playing with them at all?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
'Cause I was a big, huge fan of Seduce, so I used to go see them all the time. I've interviewed most of the members of that band for my show also. But God, that album is great. That is really good. Were they trying to in any way tie you in with any other groups as far as, rotation for MTV? Or was it just, whatever?
Vendetta was such a new thing. I remember we went to a radio station in Chicago because we were in the top 10 on the radio station. And I walked in for a drive time, interview, 8 o'clock in the morning, drive time thing. And I walked in and the guy looked at me and said, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm Niki Buzz. I'm here for the interview." He goes, "No, you're not." I said, "Yes, I am." He says, "No, Niki Buzz is a white guy with this incredible voice, plays guitar, and you're standing here, this little black guy. You're not Niki Buzz. If you don't leave, I'm going to call security."
What?
Luckily, not the A&R guy, but the guy who plugs the records, for the radio.
Yeah.
For the record to get the title. But he walked in, "Hey, Niki, how you doing?" "Yeah, And he said, "Hey, did you meet Niki yet?" And this DJ said, "You mean to tell me the voice on that album, the guitar playing, is this guy?" I said, "Yeah." You know what he did? He took my record off the turntable, he broke it in half, he threw it in the garbage and says, "I don't play nigger music." And he refused to interview me.
Are you serious? What year was this?
1982?
And this was in New York City?
No, Chicago.
Oh, Chicago. Do you remember what station that was? What radio station?
No.
That's outrageous.
But that's what happened. And instead of the record company running with it, they panicked. Had they put the story out, we would have been bigger than life.
Oh yeah.
But they didn't. They panicked and they start shipping the album to radio stations with white covers with no picture.
Really?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, the racism there. I mean, come on, there were a lot of major black talents. I mean, like you mentioned, Hendrix, Michael Jackson, Prince. What was this guy's problem? Was he just some kind of redneck fool or what?
No, you have to realize, as long as the black artist stays in his quote lane, he's accepted. Look what happened to Beyonce just recently.
Yeah.
She did a country album and they boycotted it because she's black.
I thought it was because it was country myself, but that's a shame.
Because she's black and doing country. The white country stations who said we're not going to play a black artist, they said she's out of her culture, is what they said.
Wow, that's crazy.
We had the same kind of racism in rock. As long as a black artist is doing funk and soul or whatever, accepted. Black artist starts playing hard rock, then they got a problem. They've got a problem with that. And we ran into racism everywhere we went.
Even in Detroit, where you were...
even in Detroit.
Did you get any airplay in Detroit at all?
Yeah, we got airplay in Detroit. We had a big fan base in Detroit. And it wasn't the fans that was doing it.
Right.
It was the club owners and the concert promoters who were doing it. Wow. I remember playing, when we played the Royal Oak Theater with Billy Squire, it was requested that I not be seen with white because it would upset the white guys in the audience.
That's unbelievable. That's crazy.
That was in Detroit when we played the Royal Oak Billy Squire. It was requested that I do not hang out with, backstage with white girls. Just dumb shit.
Incredibly dumb. In relationship to like Hendrix, I mean, my God, he was one of the greatest rock guitarists of all time. I mean, my God.
Exactly. And they don't want that repeated. They did not want that repeated. Other than what's his face, Tony McAlpine, as an amazing rock guitarist, and then of course you shit, Lenny Kravitz. Show me where the great black rock guitars. It's not by coincidence that they're not there.
Yeah, no, that's true. The other one I was thinking was John Butcher, but he wasn't anywhere.
Yeah, John Butcher Axis, of course. But it's not by coincidence that they're not there. They really feel that it's the white boys' domain. I remember talking to Vernon Reed from the Living Color, because he used to come see me play at CBGB's.
You guys played CBGB's?
Oh, Vendetta played CBGB's all the time. And I was also in the band called Sun. If you have the Live at CBGB's album, which is the only live album from CBGB's, there's a band called Sun. I was the lead singer for that band.
Did you play guitar also or just sing?
No, I just sing.
You didn't have any issues then with racism at CBGB's then?
I didn't. Not at all. I didn't start playing guitar until I was 27.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was a drummer before then.
Oh, I've heard that story a lot of times. I've heard that. That's funny. I interviewed Jim McCarty from the Rockets, and he started out as a drummer too. And I know several guitar players that seem to, and they say it helped, build them as far as their rhythm playing. Do you think that helped you at all, or?
Oh man, I was doing paradiddles with my guitar pick on my string.
So when you started playing guitar at that age, did you take any lessons, or did you just, get at it?
No. What happened is that the band Sun, and when you hear it, you'll understand. We were going to be signed by Swan Song, Led Zeppelin's label.
Amazing.
Yeah, Led Zeppelin, the process, Jimmy Page. Actually, Jimmy Page asked me to be the lead singer for the firm.
Really?
And I turned it down for reasons I'm not going to say over the air.
I understand.
But I turned it down. And I decided I wanted to play punk because Sun was a heavy rock band. They used to call us Baby Led Zeppelin. We sounded like that.
Really?
And yeah, but I heard the Sex Pistols and I was, this is the sound. This is the sound I want to play. I said, if you take the energy of the Sex Pistol and put good vocals over the top, and you're going to have an incredible sound, because punk at that time had an energy to it that no music had at that time. The guitar player for Sun said, there's no way I would ever play that music. I said, well, I guess I better learn to play guitar. So Giorgio Gomelski, do you know who he is?
No, sir.
All right, Giorgio Gomelski owned the Crawdaddy Club, London, and he produced the Yardbirds, and he also produced some demos, and he discovered the Rolling Stones, actually. Look up Giorgio Gomelski, he's a legend.
That's got to be a while back then.
Yeah, he saw me at CBGB's, and he wanted to sign me as an artist. He wanted to be my manager. And he said to me, what would it take for me to get you to sign management? I said, I want to learn to play guitar, so I want a guitar. I want to be in a hotel for a year. I want 3 meals a day delivered to my room, and I don't want to be disturbed. And in 1 year, I will come out, I will play guitar, and I will have an album with the material. And he looked me in the face, and he said, let's go. He took me to the Hotel Earl, which is now the Washington Square Hotel. This is a landmark. He paid my rent a year in advance. We went to the corner to a restaurant called Twin Brothers, made a deal with them. They would deliver 3 meals a day, paid them in advance, took me to 48th Street, bought me a Les Paul, and said, kid, I'll see you in a year. And that's how I learned to play guitar.
Now, so you woodshedded. Were you listening to records then to learn it, or?
Man, all I did was sit there and play until my fingers were dead.
I see. Wow.
And started writing. From that actually came the material for the Bullets. And then I met Click and Terry, and we became the Bullets, and then later we became Vendetta. But that's how I learned to play guitar.
Well, that's interesting, because you had mentioned from the CBGB's thing with Sun that you wanted to get into punk. Nothing about Vendetta sounds punk to me. Did that change somewhere along the line where you sound like a shredder, a metal shredder on that album. You don't sound punk
exactly.
at all.
People consider Babylon rock borderline punk.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, some people consider the energy of that particular song borderline punk.
Well, maybe the energy, but not the playing.
No, not the playing. No. Punk was, for me, punk wasn't advanced enough. Some punk was really, that Sex Pistols, Chris Spedding played all the guitars.
Right.
On the Sex Pistols album. And Chris Spedding is an amazing guitar player. They sounded nothing like whatever. I just wanted the energy from the punk. I get you. Not just the energy, not the actual out-of-tune singing and bad playing. No.
Okay.
No, that I didn't want. I just wanted the energy from it.
Okay. What about the look that you created? Because somebody had mentioned to me they had seen pictures of the Vendetta days with the headband. You had that kind of like, you're obviously a short, stacked guy. I am also. Did you in any way try to characterize yourself as far as a look to that band? Were you looking for a certain look?
Actually, when Vendetta got signed, I looked a lot like Rick James.
Yeah, I was going to say, but...
Very long braids and blah, 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 blah. And I decided that I didn't want to look like Rick James. I wanted to have my own thing.
Yeah.
You know, we had to choose between two producers as well. Eddie Kramer was up for producing the Vendetta album. I had to choose between Eddie Kramer and Max Norman. And I didn't choose, yeah, tell me about it. I didn't want to do Eddie Kramer because I didn't want to be the new Jimi Hendrix. I wanted to be Niki. I wanted to be my own personality. I don't want to be the new nothing. I just wanted to be me. And I didn't want to be Rick James. So that's when I cut my braids, you know, and then I did the rock and roll punk haircut sort of style thing. The record company was so angry because they really loved the Rick James thing, and I was like, no, I don't want to be that.
No, you got to be yourself.
I want to be myself. Sometimes I even wore a little afro with a headband.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's kind of what it looked like to me.
On the Vendetta album, you know, my hair's all spiky and punked out and stuff. But yeah, I was definitely going for a rock look. I wanted to be a rocker. So yeah, I was definitely going for that. And I'm short. You know, I'm like 5'5" already. I'm a little guy.
Well, I'm 5'3", so I know.
Okay. when we played with Strut, because you know everybody in Strut was like 6'1", 6'2", you know, and we would come out these little guys because Cliff is also tiny. So Vendetta was a very tiny band with a very big sound.
Yes.
I remember playing with Crocus, you know, a few other bands at that time, and we were just loud. We played Harpo's once, and the sound guy showed me the decibel meters. I was 127 decibels by myself. He says it's like sticking your head inside of a jet engine.
What were you using? 3 Marshall stacks? What were you using?
Yeah. I was using. At one point, I used 4.
That's loud in that place.
Yeah, and Cliff used 3 SPTs. They didn't like the guitars. Why?
Yeah.
You know, you feel it. You know, I mean, you can't play like it's the difference between hearing the music and feeling the music. You know.
Oh yeah.
And man, I those were the days.
Oh, for sure. Now, you mentioned Crocus and Billy Squier and some of these other bands. Did you guys tour with Vendetta around the country or anything like that?
We did, but mostly in the Midwest. And we toured with Humble Pie.
Oh, I love Humble Pie.
Yeah, the Humble Pie came back together, you know, came back out again, and we toured with them. And we toured with Billy Squier. We toured with Joan Jett, and we toured with Crocus. I forget the name of the band, but they had a hit, Balls to the Wall.
Oh, Accept.
Toured with them. Who else did we tour with? My God. Men of War.
Yeah.
No, that was in '80s. That was in '80s. So.
What was probably the biggest place you played as far as like arena or whatever that you can recall?
Pine Knob. Pine Knob in Michigan? Or,
yeah. Pine Knob is in Michigan. What about like
Pine Knob?
What about like Cobo Hall or anything like that?
I think we did do Cobo Hall, but I don't, man.
I'm
71 now. So.
I understand. I'm stretching your memory. I apologize for that.
No, it's okay.
Now, you mentioned, you know, coming up against the racism issues. Did you have any of those problems with any of the bands that you played with? Was there any problems there?
No. It was not. It was, well, one band actually, unfortunately, is one of your favorite bands. They weren't very nice at Vendetta.
Local band?
Seduce. They did not. Yeah, they had a tone of racism about them. They didn't really. They weren't very nice to me.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Could have taken it the wrong way, you know.
Well, with everything you were up against, I could understand why you would.
Nobody came up to me and called me names or anything like that. Right. But it was always in the air.
Cold shoulder kind of thing.
Yeah, you know, and it's like, what? You know, I mean, there's always jealousies between bands or whatever. To me, it went a little bit deeper, and out of all the bands that we played with, that's the band that I remember the weirdest around.
How well did the Vendetta album sell at that time?
Actually, it sold quite well. And we were in the top 10, what do they call that? Territories. We were in the top 50 in 50 territories worldwide. We were number 1 in Caracas, Venezuela for like 20 weeks or something crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, because it was a lot of brown-skinned kids out there, and they just looked at me and said, wow, it can be done. Right, exactly. You know Jean Beauvoir, of course.
Oh, yeah.
From the Plasmatics. He was a big fan for a long time. I ended up playing on 2 of his videos, actually.
Really? Now, would that have been in New York?
That was in California.
Oh, California, okay.
Yeah, he was a big fan, and he was telling a friend of his, man, that guy Niki Buzz, he did it, I'm going to do it too. So I was his actual inspiration. Same thing with Vernon Reed, but he used to come and watch my shows at CBGB's. There were times when he and Jean Beauvoir were in the audience together.
So you paved the way pretty much for him.
Yeah.
To get that.
And I didn't find another guy that was up there until I found Space CT from Sound Barrier. Then of course there was that the all black punk band Pure Hell. Yeah, Fighter and Dinky and those guys, man. Lady, those guys were crazy. Yeah. I love it. Yeah, it was cool.
How long did you, at that point, did Vendetta eventually leave Detroit and go to New York? That's kind of like the story I heard.
No, actually, the racism got to a point where I broke up the band because I felt that the other two guys should not suffer because I'm black. Because we hit a ceiling. We couldn't go any further. And I said, look, you guys are phenomenal musicians. You guys deserve a career. So I disbanded, the group. Mm-hmm. And then to this day, they are upset with me about that. They said, Niki, we would have stuck it out. And I know you would have, but I would have felt guilty, holding you back. And that's what happened to Vendetta. We didn't go back to New York. And then I just went out on my own, tried to do some other stuff, and then I ended up, of course, with M80. I met Don Costa, bass player from Ozzy, and we put M80 together and ran into the same shit.
That's crazy.
Yeah, especially in California. Yeah, it was crazy. Costa was very big because he had been playing with Ozzy, and I remember we were playing the Troubadour, and Blackie Lawless from Wasp made an announcement at his shows. If you go see M80, you're not welcome at our shows.
And to me, it's just incredibly crazy. And I wonder how Blackie thinks about that now, because he's a born-again Christian, according to what he's come out with. He's even put a Christian metal album out for a few years ago. And to be like that, in this day and age, or even in the 80s, to me, that's just absolutely insane. Did Vendetta ever get a chance to play? You mentioned that you guys got signed over in Canada. Did you come up against that kind of racism over there?
Oh, let me tell you a story. We were playing in Canada, and we played this huge club. It was 3 times the size of Harpo's, and it was sold out. And we were actually playing there. It was a double heading, us and Strut. My brother who died, his name was Dirty Harry. Everybody loved Dirty Harry. Harry was running the follow spots. He was sitting at a table, and somebody whispered in his ear, "We're gonna get the little nigga."
To him, your brother.
To my brother. And he said, what? And then it was going around the club. So it turned out that there was a group of guys there who were, I guess they were hockey fans or whatever. And they're just a bunch of rowdy guys. But Vendetta, oh my God. The Hells Angels loved us. They loved us.
Well, that's good to have them on your side.
No, yeah, exactly. And they were at the club. They got wind of it and said, okay, we're going to take care of this. We leveled that club. We leveled. It was like it was hit by a neutron bomb. There was nothing left. Walls, nothing. The club was completely destroyed. And a huge fight. People's tires were slashed in the parking lot. It was absolute mayhem. The end of that was the club owner said to us, okay, obviously we're not going to pay you for tonight because we have to recoup the damages. But in 3 months, we're going to have you back. And he did. And we sold it out.
Were you able to play that night, though? This happened after the gig?
After the gig.
And what were the Hells Angels doing over in Canada? Did they just follow you around a bit?
Yeah, well, actually, I'll tell you a little secret. I played Blondie's. I had a 1958 Les Paul Jr. that was stolen at Blondie's, and somebody else, there was a bunch of stuff stolen at Blondie's. My guitar ended up, I'm not saying the Hells Angels stole it, I'm not saying that at all, but it ended up in their clubhouse. And I just said, keep it. Because, it started with Sun. Mm-hmm. The Hells Angels were huge fans of Sun in New York. And Sandy, the president of the Hells Angels at that point, was also friends with my bass player because Sandy was with Lisa de Kooning, the daughter of William de Kooning, the famous painter, who lived in Cliff was friends with her. So he became his friend solely, yeah. So the Hells Angels sort of were Vendetta fans from New York. So I guess they told them about it in Detroit. When we got to Detroit, man, we had Hells Angels hanging out with the band and telling us everything's going to be cool. Yeah, so...
Did you get the guitar back? Were they able to give it back to you at all?
I told them to keep it.
I see.
I told them to keep it. Just keep it. If for all I know, Mexico is still there, and but they protected us. They protected us.
That story you just told a few minutes ago about that situation in Canada, do you remember whereabouts in Canada? I'm originally from Canada. That shocks me. Do you remember, like, was that Toronto, Montreal, Windsor, whereabouts? That
No,
might have
no,
been?
no. It was the Windsor area.
Oh, okay. Right across
Yeah,
the border.
right across the border. It was the Windsor area. And you know what I think? To be honest, I just think it was a bunch of drunk guys who wanted to get rowdy, and they used me as an excuse.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yes.
It wasn't like the Ku Klux Klan was running
No, I
around there or
see.
anything like that. They weren't in Nazi uniforms, anything like
Right,
that.
right.
These guys just wanted to fight.
That had to freak your brother out.
Well, I'm a fighter as well.
Right.
Okay, let's go.
I mean, when you're a little guy, believe me, I know.
Yeah, you got to be scrappy, man. And I was okay. Let's do it. But I couldn't get a word in edgewise, man. And it was fun because the fight quickly turned into tearing down the club. Tore down the club, but the club owner's attitude was just so cool. He didn't lose his mind. He just like, okay, guys, well, the club is destroyed, but we're going to rebuild in 3 months, and we'll have you back. It was a great night. He didn't give a hit.
Well, Niki, I got to ask you one last question, then I'm going to let you go. How did you come up with your name, or did somebody name you? Niki Buzz, that's a really rock and roll name, not quite metal, but it's kind of metal at the same time. It's in that because of the buzz. How did that name come about? I'm just curious.
Oh, that's very funny. I was in a band called the Muffins. This was 1971, 72. There was 4 of us. We had perfect 4-part harmony. It was almost like the Eagles meets the Monkees. It was a complete pop boy band, and everybody had a nickname. One guy's name was Kip. Another guy's name was Billy Bizot. His actual name was Billy Bizot. He ended up writing all the stuff for the Runaways. Yeah, he wrote all the shit for the Runaways. Then there was Wes Brown. So his name was Wes Brown the Renown. And I was the only one who didn't have a name. My real name is Darrell. And they said, we're going to call you Niki Buzz. and it stuck.
Now, why did you come up with that? Was it your look, your personality?
No, they said because you're always buzzing around.
Oh, okay.
You got this energy. I was a drummer then, remember?
Right.
So, man, you've got this energy. When people around you, things start buzzing. So we're gonna call you Niki Buzz.
That's great.
My mother even called me Niki before she died.
Speaking of the drums, do you play the drums at all anymore, even for fun, or is that just?
Yeah, I just played last night. I do sessions here. I've done a lot of recordings for bands. Actually, they hire me to do the drums on the record, and some people hire me to tour with them sometimes. Wow. Yeah, man, drums if I have a drug, that's drums.
That is really cool. Well, Niki, I'm going to let you go. I really, really appreciate talking to you. Definitely keep in touch, especially when you get that new recording done and all that, because I'd really like to hear it. I really enjoyed, obviously the Vendetta stuff, and I really enjoyed the Funkabilly album also. I'd like to hear more from you. Well, anyway, sir, again, I want to thank you very, very much for talking to me today. I learned quite a bit about the business from you, and it saddens me to death that you had to go through all that. Such an extreme talent. I would have never thought that would have taken place, but I was very young at the time, so I was obviously quite naive to what was really going on. But anyway, sir, thank you again for talking to me. I really appreciate it. Best of luck in everything you do in the future with your health and everything else and your recording, and I definitely look forward to hearing more stuff from you in the future.
Yeah, but thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Oh, it's been a pleasure for me too, sir.
I will keep you posted for sure.
I really appreciate it. Well, thank you, sir, so much. And I know it's after midnight over there, so I'll let you go.
Okay, man.
All right, take care. All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that was Niki Buzz. He was in Vendetta. They were called Sun. He went out and played in the 80s. He had a group called the Niki Buzz Band, and recently he's doing what he calls, and it's very interesting music, Funkabilly, which is a cross between obviously funk and country, not rockabilly, but country. And you can check that out on Spotify under the name Niki Buzz. That's Nikibuzz. Extremely talented man. Really interesting story. Hey, well, if you're digging these interviews, and I hope you are, hey, go on there and smash the like button for me, would you? And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. It's free, doesn't cost anything. Just shows me there's more interest in these interviews. By the way, are you into records? Well, there's a great record shop over in Westland, Michigan called Vinyl People Records. They're at 785 Ford Road in Westland, Michigan. Phone number is 734-329-2746. Their hours are Monday through Friday, 11 to 7, Saturday, 11 to 5, and Sunday, 1 to 5. Donovan, the owner, really knows vinyl, has some great used and new vinyl that's available. If you can't find something for you in the store, he can search it down. He's got some great resources. Tell him Jimmy sent you. Anyway, with that said, and like I always like to say, keep rocking.